Gore, gore, gore. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling, and this is going to be looking at the best go home show to WrestleMania ever. So, yeah, welcome back to the channel. Monday Night Raw, 26th of March 2003. We've been hyping this up in the pipeline for a while. This ain't a review, it's simply just a retrospective because one day I believe we are going to fire ourselves all the way through these episodes throughout time. We're in the Ruthless Aggression. We've already watched the Attitude Era, but that was years ago and we didn't actually review it. So I think we'll start at 93 and work our way up and complete Monday Night Raw as a circuit. How great would that be? But in terms of this video, we're simply going to be discussing the episode itself and whether or not it's the best go-home show. Because I was scrolling through Netflix and I saw Raw Fault and I went, alright, I'll click on this. I went to 2001, 26th of March 2001. I was eating my breakfast and I went, you know what? I need a part of that. No, why did I need a part of that? It's the go home show to the greatest WrestleMania of all time. For me, it is in the greatest period of all time. I think genuinely from pretty much from when Austin came back from his injury right up into Mania X7, I think for me is like how great wrestling was is honestly off the charts. Right? It's phenomenal. It's some of the best shit you'll see in terms of wrestling. So yeah, looking forward to discussing this and breaking it down. But how did we begin this show? Well, it wasn't small, it wasn't anything pathetic or diddy. It was, in fact, Vincent Kennedy McMahon announcing that he now owned WCW and that Jeff Jarrett is GGOONNEE. Gone. Double G, double O, double N, double E. Vince McMahon starting the show with a telly showing Nitro with Jarrett on it and a telly showing Raw on it. I mean, this is just so surreal. McMahon basically just burying Jeff Jarrett live on telly and telling him to get the hell out and that he's gone and that he's fired and don't expect to come back. This was just honestly borderline insane. Crazy. What a start. Then the intro hits and it's like, Jesus Christ, man, no time to breathe. We then cut to a graphic of tonight's main event, which just highlights the strength and depth that we have got at this time. Stone Cold Steve Austin and WWF champion The Rock teaming up to take on the Brothers of Destruction. And you hear people today say that 2025, 2024, oh, Triple H is cooking, best era of all time. Have a look at this main event, and you were getting main events like this every week, folks, right? This wasn't like a one-off in 2001, this was like every week. Yeah, and not only was it every week, it was twice a week because you'd SmackDown as well. It's an absolute disgrace what's happened to wrestling. And then also, another thing I want to point out, up next was a segment between Benoit and Angle. And you know what? It was basically about Angle wanting an opponent at Mania that feats his caliber. Benoit came out, they get into a brawl, good wee verbal back and forth here between them, and that sets up the match. And that's 6 days removed from Mania, so it's pathetic. Like now, it's like, oh, WrestleMania plans need to be penciled in September for April. It's like, look at this, 6 days away from WrestleMania. Then you'd have Benoit and Angle announced, but this, there was no need to panic. I mean, there was no need to greet. This was pretty good. They'll prove me wrong. Vince McMahon appeared on the phone and he said, "Right, Stephanie and Triple H, you can take the day off." Then it shows Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell, and he's like, "God damn it, pal, the Lex Express days are over," which I thought was pretty funny as he hypes up the Austin Rock and Taker Kane tag team match. Cole tries to get a word with Deborah, but she blanks him. Then we got match number 1, Taz versus Val Venis. Val Venis wins. Taz wins. This was a fine wee match. You know, you'd Right to Censor it there, and I loved Right to Censor. Very funny. Very good. You also had the APA out there. It was pretty good. We then had a commercial. Doink the Clown was shown celebrating with the crowd on Raw. What's going on here? Regal then challenges one of the Hollies. We thinking it's Crash, but then Holly, it's like, no, it's no Crash. He batters Crash, and then he hits the STF on Molly Holly, and she starts tapping it, so it's pretty good. Then he hits the STF on Crash, so this is just William Regal battering the entirety of the Holly family. But yeah, Jericho then jumps the barricade dressed as Doink. Fun fact, guys, Shawn Michaels saw Jericho like this and was like, "Damn, man, is that where they've got you?" He was very drugged out. So yeah, Vince McMahon then looks at Nitro and he sees Dustin Rhodes on the telly and he says, "Here, Trish, listen to this. Goldust wants to have implants, but he doesn't have those flush, beautiful breasts like you do. God damn it, this was insane. This was some good shit. Regal then announces a non-title match between Jericho and the Big Show, because obviously Jericho just battered them. Edge and Christian then went and talked to Kurt Angle and it set up a tag team match. Later on, we had Benoit and the Hardys against Angle and Edge and Christian. I mean, look at that for a 6-man tag. Just great comedy in here with Rhino and Angle. Rhino's like fucking going ballistic, and Angle's like, he's sure got intensity. I don't think he's got the other two eyes, but he's sure got intensity. We then seen the highlights between Rock and Austin, WrestleMania X7 highlights, right? Just, I mean, my way, the highway, the video package, man. Orgasmic, as I would describe it. Oh my! Shame! Now up next was Shane McMahon buying WCW from under Vince McMahon's nose, and if you want to see a more in-depth video about this, there is a video on the channel that was about that, and it was labelled That Time When we go through wrestling moments throughout its history and react to it and revisit them. Kind of just like this entire episode, as this is a retrospective, not a review, so I'm not going to go down every single thing in the promo. McMahon, you know what, as I said in That Time When, he probably spent a wee bit too much time during this segment talking about WCW, but the reality is McMahon won the war. He's entitled to do this. You know, you get Paul Heyman putting him over like crazy. He says he's only going to agree to this WCW contract if Ted Turner himself walks out in the middle of the ring and signs it, which I thought was pretty funny. Because, I mean, there was rumours at the time that Ted Turner wanted Vince to run WCW, but it just doesn't really work, though, you know what I mean? Like, Vince, WWE is Vince's, and why would Vince work for Ted Turner? Like, I know you could say money and all that good stuff, but Vince won, and you know what? WrestlingRecaps.com labelled it, this was without a doubt the biggest night in wrestling history. You know, I now own WCW. Just a fucking insane moment, man. I can't even put it into words how great it is. Check out That Time When, because it was utterly, I mean, it's phenomenal, man. This is what wrestling's all about. This is a massive moment. You know, it's hard to create moments like this. I feel like these sort of moments happen organically. You know what I mean? McMahon was backstage. He was yelling at his attorneys on the phone. He was fucking strawberries against the wall. It was just very good. But then at match 3, another match highlighting the strength of the mid-card. Hardy Boys and Benoit against Kurt Angle, Edge and Christian. Hardy Boys and Chris Benoit won. Lita got hit with a gore, as you've seen at the start of this video. Just fantastic, man. Just I mean, come on, this is great. Kevin Kelly then interfered Undertaker and Kane. We saw a recap of what happened on SmackDown. If you follow us on Twitter, you'll see I put a wee clip of it. It was pretty good. We then had a non-title match, Test against X-Pac, with Albert, special guest referee Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero up to his usual antics here. Very good, very comedic. X-Pac wins with help from Eddie Guerrero. Takes a few shots at Test. Very good match. Michael Cole then tried to interview Austin, but Austin doesn't want to comment. It was great seeing Mick Foley back. Obviously, at this point, Mick Foley's pretty much retired from in-ring work. He would obviously go on to have a few more matches in his wrestling career, a run in TNA, a few matches in ECW, WWE, ECW, a few matches in WWE as well. But for the most part, Mick Foley was done. It was sad that his career pretty much ended at WrestleMania 2000. But all great things must come to an end. He puts over his book. Vince interrupts him. Foley basically says, well, I knew when you'd come back, I'd have to put some contingencies in place. But look at the Titantron, VHS. He signed a deal with Linda on the 5th of December so he could throw himself into any match he could in the contract. And the match he's going to throw himself into is Vince versus Shane at Mania, and Mick Foley is the special guest referee. And McMahon is livid. Fantastic. He tells McMahon to have a nice day. McMahon's no having a nice day. We then had our 5th match, Big Show against Chris Jericho. Great wee match. Big Show wins. You had William Regal come out there, Kane out there with Raven. Just some great interference here. The Rock is looking for Austin's locker room as well. We then had a commercial. The Dudley Boys are shown at WWF New York. Just wrestling was so over here, man. The crowd's going ballistic. The fact that a whole building set up in New York just dedicated to WWE was fucking highlights it all. Great. This was some great stuff. Honestly, man, no complaints. Fan dabby dozy. Then moving on to The Rock. He walks into Austin's locker room. Basically says, right, we've got to work together tonight. We won't touch each other tonight. Sounds a little bit gay there, but hopefully Rock and Austin, they can do that off camera. But yeah, they said that's fine. But after the match, Rock, all bets are off. Speaking of the match, it's Austin and Rock versus Undertaker and Kane, and it's live. The match is great, man. It's just four guys that know exactly what they're doing. Undertaker begins to get the upper hand. He begins to get the upper hand here. Taker knocks him down. Taker then pushes Austin the Rock. He goes to choke slam him. Goes for the last ride. But then Triple H comes in. He cracks Taker with a steel chair. Austin then manages to cover Taker after the interference with Triple H. So not only does every match here advance, you know, you've got like Triple H, like the heel work. Oh, he's not going to be here tonight. He's not here. Turns out he is here. After the match, Austin drinks beer. While he's drinking, though, The Rock turns him around, stunner on Austin. And then The Rock ends the show drinking beer, talking shit, and giving Austin the middle finger from the ramp. Honestly, I cannot even fault this show. Like, what is there to... This is like a perfect episode of Raw. Like, maybe the only thing it was missing was like a TLC match or like a hardcore match. But honestly, I'm going to give this Raw a 10. Retrospect. Here, I can't 100% confirm this is like the greatest go-home show of all time, because you would literally need to watch all the go-home shows, especially Raw. I'm not factoring in the SmackDowns. But it's like, fucking, just a stacked card, man. Just an absolute... I mean, look at the main event. Hardy Boys, Benoit against Angle, Edge and Christian. Just great. Vince McMahon buying WCW. Shane then takes it from him. Mick Foley firing himself into the match. So many comedic angles in there. Just a great episode to watch, and I recommend it. Of course I recommend it. It's on Netflix, guys, so there's no need to worry. There's no need to, oh, it's not on the network. Type in Netflix, Raw Fall, go to March 26, 2001, get this watched, get it discussed. I cannot wait. What a fucking episode. 10 out of 10, man. Phenomenal. This was peak pro wrestling. This was phenomenal, man.